My screen is visible.
Yes, not in full size. Okay. ठीक है, okay, no. Yeah, you
Okay.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. So, good evening, everybody. We are back to MST 017, Challenges to Sustainable Development, and this is the last block of this particular course. You can see it is about threats. Threats of various kinds are there before us to meet the goals of sustainable development. And one of the important threats, which is mostly overlooked, which doesn't get much of the attention as the other natural resources, is land, our soil, our basis of existence, and which gives us so much. In this session, today we will talk about land, the importance of land degradation, what are the causes, and what is the solution. What is the meaning of integrated land management, and also what is the difference between integrated land management and sustainable land management? Appears to be same, but then we have to discuss that what can we do for managing the land resources so as to have a kind of an integrated use of this resource, and how can we ensure that the land, the resources and land use is sustainable so that we are able to reap the benefits on a long term basis. So just beginning with this, that land is a resource. We confuse land with the soil. And when we say land, we most of the times think that it is about the soil, which is good for agriculture, which is required for agriculture, soil fertility, soil quality. But when we talk about land, you must understand that soil is a kind of a parameter of land. But when I say about land, or when we think of land as a resource, that means we also include the other properties of the land, including the habitation of the people who are living, what is the use of the land, means how land use is being done, how land use planning is done, what kind of, you can say, how the land is categorized, how much is the forest land, how much is the agricultural land, how much is the industrial land. So, first of all, learners, you must be acquainted with the difference between land and the soil. So when I say land, I also mean about the people who are inhabiting that land. I also think about the economic activities which are going on the land. So it is a resource, and as I said, it is most overlooked resource in that sense that we talk about forest as a resource, water as a resource, but we must understand that land is a resource which is the basis of other resources because it contains biodiversity on land, it contains minerals which are there on the land. It also contains water which is beneath the land. Of course, the habitation of the human beings, the development of the civilization, all the economic activities are going on in the land. So it is a resource which is the base of all other resources which are present. And we must not forget that most of the human civilizations have taken place on land. You must be knowing about the ancient civilizations, Indus Valley civilization, Harappan civilization, Mesopotamian civilizations. Where have they developed? They have developed near the banks of the rivers. So this is the basis where we have started living together. We became civilized. In the initial agriculture started, the initial markets, the commercial activities, everything happened on it. And then agriculture, which is the most important activity, which is the basis of our survival. The agriculture accounts for the soil types which are present in the different locations. They are a house, or you can say, of the various crops are grown on the soil, and we very well know, and this is the most important, most common function of the land or the soil, what we assume is agriculture, because agriculture takes place on the soil. Then mining activities are very important. Minerals are there on the Earth's crust, which are being extracted. That is the basis of all the economic activity which goes on. Then tourism. One of the important use of the land as a resource is the tourist activities, whether it is the forest, the grasslands, and mountains, plateaus, plains, and whatever. And also, land serves us as the ecological and the economic value. In the present times, we know that how much of the land is being used for various purposes due to climate change, due to natural disasters taking place, how much of the land gets degraded, and what consequences do we face in the present day environmental crisis, what we are seeing. So we also know that there are different forms of the land. There are major land forms and there are minor land forms. For example, major landforms include the mountains, the plateaus, the plains, whereas on the other hand, the minor landforms are also the important prominent features of the ecology of any regions. For example, we have valleys, we have canyons, which are, strips of the land between the mountains, and there are water bodies beneath. So if you talk about India, just think about India and consider the land that is being occupied. Around 43% of the land in India is the plain area, which which is the you can say the agricultural land also is there in the plain areas. Then 30% of the land in India is the mountainous regions, of course the Himalayas and the Aravallis, and in the south we have the mountainous areas. Then there are plateaus also in India. So the significance of the land and the properties which are being provided to us also depend upon the different land forms, the different forms of the land. So we know that what is the utility, and as a resource, how mountains are useful, how mountains they inhabit most of the important and lush green forests which are responsible for maintaining the climate of the earth. Similarly, the plains are a best land suitable for agriculture, which feed the whole country. Then we have the importance of plateaus, which are the storehouse of different types of minerals. So as a whole, we can say that land is the land is an entity with its different forms supports different types of functions. And in view of the present day conditions of land degradation, it is very much essential on our part that we take care of this resource as an optimum, or as on a sustainable basis. We are able to utilize the properties of the lands for our benefits and for our future. But what is happening today? You must be knowing about the land degradation. Now, for a common person, the land degradation and reduction in the fertility of the soil means one and the same. When I say the land is getting degraded, about 30% of the India's land is being degraded because of XYZ, so many factors. So what do we mean by the land degradation? Let us not always think that land is degraded when we apply chemicals in the soils and the soil is not fertile and we have to put in more fertilizers, more chemicals to make it fertile. But elsewhere also, when we see barren lands outside, when we see the totally deforested mountains and hills outside, when we see the overexploited mining areas, it must come to our mind that this is land degradation. So, in a simple words, if we talk about the literal meaning of the word degradation, that means reduction in the quality of the land. When the properties of the land for which it is meant to be, it is not able to do its function properly, we say that the land is degraded. So just understand this, that decline in the quality of the land due to change in its biophysical environment caused by human induced changes. There are physical, chemical, and the biological properties of the land. So when I say the changes in the biophysical properties, for example, changes in the physical and the chemical constituents, which are quite evident by, you can say, the increase in the soil acidity or salinity of the soil. If it is more OH ions are more, soil is more alkaline, or soil is laden with heavy metals. So these are the changes which are occurring in the soil. And that soil or that land may not be used for agriculture, but even if it otherwise, if it contains heavy load of chemicals and there is a change in the biophysical and chemical properties of the land, we say that the land is degraded, and which is what it is happening today in different pockets of the country. We find that the quality of the land is not so which was earlier, because either the land is used for agriculture, then we have a lot of chemical inputs in it. Otherwise, if it is not so, the land is barren, the deforested land where recharge of the groundwater is not happening. And over the years, the quality of the land has declined to such an extent that it does not serve their purpose. Similarly, if it is otherwise also you find that landfill sites are the places, there also the land is degraded. So it results into the changes and the disturbances in the properties of the land. So if I ask you what are the functions of the land and what it is not able to do if the land is degraded, so keep aside the agricultural function of the land. That is one aspect that, for growing crops, we need good quality soil and all. But otherwise also, the different functions of the land that it supports, it has the underground water in it. It supports the growth of soil biota in the form of microorganisms, which are very much essential. It is the storehouse, and it is a storehouse of course, minerals and other things, but also otherwise, if it is used for construction purposes, if there is an industrial build, the properties of the land are very important for long-term sustenance of the human beings on this planet. So the lowering of the potential of the land. So when we say that the land is being degraded, it may take different forms. There are different forms of land degradation, not necessarily caused by the anthropogenic activities. Of course, man-made factors are responsible, but otherwise also, if you see in the present day, if it rains too much at any place, the land gets degraded. If it doesn't rain for several years altogether, then the land gets degraded. If there are high speed winds blowing and take away the soil with it, the lands are degraded. If the earthquakes are occurring on a very small intervals, the land is degraded. So it is not so that always, how can we forget the forest fires? The incidence of forest fires has been on the rise during last few years because of deforestation and because of increase in temperature and whatnot. This is also one of the reason of the land degradation. So it may take different forms. So we are there are three categories basically. How do we divide the causes of the land degradation? One of the important category you can say, or cause you can say, is the change in the physical and the chemical processes. The physical and the chemical processes change naturally also by the action of water, wind, temperature, humidity, and so on. And they also are being caused because of the addition of inputs by the anthropogenic activity. So we have just discussed about these factors when we were discussing about land degradation itself, that there are changes in the physical and the chemical processes. The water cycle is being disturbed because of the whole vicious cycle which goes on. Then another important cause of land degradation is the major environmental processes which are taking place. The environmental processes may be, for example, occurrence of extreme weather events taking place, excess heat, excess cold in certain areas deprives the land of the important properties which it must have. Similarly, excess heat, when it takes place, then we mentioned about floods coming, the different types of other disasters. We were seeing that how the cyclone came and how it was suspected that it, and many more are on the, on the, you can say, on the face of occurrence, that the cyclones occurring and other type of disasters occurring in the coastal areas, they also degrade the land because they bring with them the different forces of nature with them. So these are the environmental happenings which are taking place. There may be acute and the chronic environmental processes. For example, high speed wind blowing and taking away the soil with it, it is a case of the short-term changes in the land structure taking place. But over the years, if because of climate change, if you find that certain areas are not receiving enough rainfall, or are facing extremes of temperature like events, or are having most of the time forest fires type incidences. So climate change related incidents are one of the important environmental processes which degrade the quality of the land. And over the years, we have seen that how land quality has been degraded. Sustainable Development Goal 15 talks about life on land. So it in a way it also takes care of the resources of the land and the biotic organisms which are present on the land. So environmental factors including the continuously rise in temperature and happening because of global warming, climate change. These are some of the important environmental factors which are very much responsible for degrading the quality of the land. And another important issue which we term it as under anthropogenic factors is the behavioral issues. How do we behave with our land? How do we take, because land is a it's not infinite, it's a finite resource. It doesn't grow with every decade. It's not growing. It doesn't come from somewhere else. It is there, and we have to make use of the land which is available to us. Behavioral issues come when we treat land as something which will always be there, and we use so much of chemicals, we have so much of pesticides, our faulty agriculture practices, maybe in the form of wrong tillage, maybe overgrazing taking place, maybe over extraction of the groundwater, over consumption and over extraction of minerals from the earth's crust, dumping of the waste on the landfills. These are some of the behavioral issues because we have never taken land, because we have to protect land for the protection of the humanity. That is very much essential because unless and until we make sustainable use of the land resources, we won't be able to get all those things that we are getting at present. But the behavioral issues are very much uh, present today because land supports all other resources. So we must take care this in mind that a simple act of ours, like digging too much of water from the underground, can have long-term consequences on the quality of the land in that area. And it takes several million years. If you talk about the soil and think of soil as one of the important part of the land, for 2 centimeter of the soil formation takes several hundred years. So it is very difficult. It doesn't replenish so easily. So it is very essential that we take care of the behavioral issues which may be responsible for the poor quality of the land. So what are the causes of the land degradation? Here, just now we were just talking about the processes which change. So how does land degrade? You must be having a good idea about all these factors which cause land degradation. And one of the important factors is cutting of the trees, which is happening at a very fast rate. You must be knowing about the Amazon forest, how they have degraded, and deforestation is not just for getting the raw materials, but for also it makes a change in the whole topography of that place. So when the act of cutting down of trees occurs, it disturbs the watershed area of that region. Because of that, the rainwater doesn't percolate, and long-term consequences on the quality of that land has been seen. So this is very common in our country. Also, we have seen that how pockets of the forest have been cleared for agriculture purposes, which is one of the important cause of land degradation also. Because to feed the growing mouths, we need more land, and for more land, we cut down the trees. To get more output, we apply more chemicals, more fertilizers, and this is one of the important factors of land degradation. So if we think of domestication activities, then overgrazing is one of the important factor of land degradation. And industries. Industries not just setting up of the industries per se, but also uh, taking the raw material from the earth's crust or from the forest, non-replenishing those resources, dumping of the effluents And also, if you consider that throwing of the industrial waste in the water bodies, so these are some of the causes. And if you examine these causes in a nutshell, what we find is that these are the anthropogenic factors which are mainly responsible and happening because of human consumption, because of human needs. So whether it is in the present times, we have seen that how important it is to maintain the pristine state of the nature. And uh, more than several million hectares of land we are losing every year because of deforestation related activities. And needless to say that we have struggled for oxygen in the last month. And it clearly explains that not just for the oxygen, but also we need trees. We need more and more plantation of trees to restore the quality of the land, because ultimately that is the basis for other resources. So it takes different forms of land, because cutting of the trees, how does it reduce the quality of the land, will depend upon the type of the land degradation which occurs. So land degradation is a broad phenomena, and under it there are different factors which take the form of land degradation. For example, soil erosion, the carrying away. I was just mentioning that how, if you think that soil is important, every year on 5th December we celebrate World Soil Day. You know, to mark the importance of the soil. And soil is essential for our own existence. From pouring rains to blowing grains, it is said that soil is very essential. You know, it houses crops, agriculture. We require, we need, our sustenance depends on the food that we grow. But the taking away of the soil, the fertile soil, when it is denuded because of the land getting degraded, now because the losing away of the topsoil, which is considered to be the most fertile layer of the soil, when it gets eroded, and every year several hectares of soil we are losing because of soil erosion caused by wind, water, heat, animals, and so on and so forth. So, because of soil erosion, when the soil gets washed away, it takes hundreds of years to get back that soil. Similarly, desertification. We consider desertification as the prevalence of desert like conditions which are happening. Think of the situation where it doesn't rain, uh, average rain for several years, the temperatures are high. What happens to the quality of the land? So in areas, we hosted in 2019, we hosted the COP19, where the theme was desertification, and it was decided to restore 30 million hectares of land by 2030. We according to this thing, that India is losing large patches of land. It is being converted into desert-like conditions. And what we mean by desert-like conditions is that high temperatures, less moisture, and it also has an effect on the agriculture, biodiversity, which is found at those places. So at some places, land degradation is very much evident in the form of desert-like conditions prevailing. You can see the different pictures which tell us about the state of affairs of the land in those areas. Similarly, loss of soil fertility. Soil fertility is a function of microorganisms. By looking at the soil, we can say that the soil, which is brown in color, is well aerated. It has good microbes in it. It is good for the soil, good for the growth of the agricultural crops. But the loss of soil fertility is happening because of inputs in the form of chemicals that we are feeding into it, because of the different ways of agriculture that is being practiced nowadays. So it doesn't contain any microbes. Earthworms are considered to be the farmers' friends, but no more earthworms are required. No more earthworms are there on the soil. So this is one of the important factor which is evident in the agricultural areas, particularly you can see. Similarly, soil acidity and alkalinity in areas where over irrigation is being done. There are certain because of government subsidies being given on electricity and this thing, over irrigating the crops. It causes the problems of salinity. It increases, particularly in the humid areas, you find that the soils are humid, they are more acidic. The calorific value of such soils is very low as compared to the soils which are alkaline. Similarly, the soils which have more basic type character, the pH is, is more than 7. It also leads to leaching of the nutrients from the soil, because the soil contains certain parameters. So these are factors, which are more or less related to agriculture, where we have converted the forest land into agricultural land, and then we are degrading the quality of the land by improper agricultural practices. The need of the hour is that we plant only those crops which are suitable to the topography, the climatic conditions, and the requirements of the people. But growing sugarcane in the area which are water scarce will not serve the purpose in the long run. It will degrade the soil, it will overexploit the water resources, and it is not a sustainable manner. So, not deviating from the topic, but ultimately it is a case where the soil acidity and the soil properties, the moisture content in the soil, the aeration of the soil, the texture of the soil, the particles, the size of the particles, that is what I mean to say by the structure of the soil. If the particles are set apart because of improper tillage, there are chances that it will be eroded very easily. It will not house any microorganisms. So there is a changes in the soil structure also at certain places because of the climatic influences, because of temperature, precipitation, human activities, activities of the you can say animals, particularly the domesticated animals, overgrazing and microbes. All these factors, they have deteriorated the structure and the texture of the soil, which will take hundreds of years to get back to normal if things stop here only. But this doesn't seem to be happening right now. If you talk about India, these are some of the facts which you must know, that we support 18% of the global population, but we have only 2% of the land mass. This 2.4% isn't going to increase, it will remain this only. Need us to have integrated and sustainable land management. Land degradation affects about 30% of land in India. I just mentioned this, that 30% of the land in India is affected. It is salinized, it is alkaline, it is acidic, it is barren, it is over fertilized, and over 75% of the earth's land is now degraded. This is the status, and by 2050, 90% of the world's land will be degraded. What will happen? What will happen to the crop yields? There will be 1 billion soil refugees by 2050. Greenhouse gas emissions are caused by soil and caused by land degradation also, because after plants, soil holds the carbon. It is a major, you can say, sink for the carbon. And because of the loss of the soil, because of industrial agriculture, even you have more amounts of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere because of the soil characteristics. And land use changes. How we use the land has been changed. It is one of the important factor of the emissions of the greenhouse gases which is happening since 1850. So what do? We need to have sustainable land management. We need to integrate land with other resources. You cannot have different policies, different procedures, and different methodologies and planning for managing the land separately. We need to integrate soil, land, health, livelihoods, everything together so that we are able to reap the economic benefits also. So, sustainable land management means preserving and enhancing the productive capacities of the land, how we are able to use the land to its maximum utilization, to its maximum productivity. That is very essential, because we just don't need land to give us agricultural benefits, but we also need land for maintaining the other ecological processes. Just now we talked about that, how it is important for global for taking the carbon in it. So that is why the need of the sustainable land management is very essential. Similarly, how do we go about it? How do we start sustainable land management? It starts with land use planning. We need to plan them. We need to allocate the different functions of the land, and we have to see according to the requirements and according to the livelihoods how we plan them. What land use changes are disastrous, what land use changes are unsustainable. They need to be abandoned and checked, and we have to see how we can evaluate and see the best land use procedures. So, making appropriate decisions on land use is land use planning. And there are competitions over this scarce resource, because this is a scarce resource, this is a finite resource, and because of which there are always competitions occurring, because there is always a fight between the use of the land for agriculture, for mining, for settlements, for industry, for construction of roads and this and that. So you have to have an appropriate decision making, and decision making always must involve the people, the stakeholders who are inhabiting those areas, and also a proper assessment of the performance of the land in terms of the utility. So whether it is the land uh, uh, which lies in the floodplain area, whether it is the land which has a high potential for better connectivity to other cities, to other places. If you're thinking of having airport build, if the land has a water table very high, don't consider it for the dumping of the waste or construction of the landfills in those areas. So we need to assess the performance of the land. That is very essential, that how do we measure and how do we evaluate the performance of the land. So sustainable land management, if we have to go, it does not occur unless and until we are able to make proper land use planning and proper evaluation. So, how do we say that integrated land management, and how does it differ from sustainable land management? When we say we have to manage the land sustainably, means whatever the use of the land is being done at that place, that should be long term. So if it is a mining area, we have to see that the minerals are extracted sustainably. If it is an agricultural land, we have to see that agriculture intercropping is done, crop rotation is done, organic farming is done, so that the land is managed sustainably. So that is the use of the land for whatever it is being done on a long-term basis. However, on the other hand, if you say it is integrated land management, means think of the forest area, for example. It not only gives you timber, it not only gives you raw material, but it also houses the people who are living in those forests. It also has an ecological value. There may be rivers inside that forest. The livelihoods of the people are dependent on that forest. When we consider all these things together, this is integrated land management. So it is an interdisciplinary approach which utilizes various uses of the land, not only the tangible benefits that you are getting from the land, but also the intangible benefits. If it is a water source, if it is a dam, if it is a power plant having electricity production, the different perspectives of the land when you take as a whole, that is the integrated land management. So that the benefits, the advantages of that particular activity which is going on in that land is integrated in such a manner that all the stakeholders are equally benefited and equally they are able to play their share. So different perspectives and identifying the best combination of land management, that is very essential. As I gave the example of the forest, same is the case applies with the grasslands and with other uses of the lands which are being done. So that is the meaning of integrated land management. And how do we go? There are different approaches in integrated land management. For example, you have to provide opportunities to the stakeholders to identify their needs. Who are the stakeholders? The people For example, if you are setting up an industry, the people who will be working in those industries are the stakeholders. The people who live nearby are the stakeholders. The people who pass through that area are the stakeholders. The livelihoods of the people, if they are dependent on that particular land utilization, are the stakeholders. So it must be kept in mind that all the stakeholders are provided with ample opportunities for the land use which is being done. And also evaluation of current and potential uses of the land must be identified. How the land is going to perform in the years to come, that needs to be assessed very properly. If it is a barren land, if the land is at present it is suffering and the climate change is very evident in those areas, so how the land will perform in the years to come, that kind of exercise with the help of different expert and specialized, with the help of remote sensing, with the help of different technologies, all these exercises are very essential and that must be carried out. Identifying special planning units means look at the distribution of the people and the institutions in that area, whether it is an industrial area, whether it is a highly populated area, whether it is a suburb, whether it is a rural area. So, what are the occupations of the people in that area? How they are going to suffer, how they are going to be benefited by that land management activity. That kind of an exercise is very essential, and establishing institutional, legislative, and required infrastructure. Because when we say that in integrated land management we involve different stakeholders, ranging from the government bodies to private organizations to the livelihoods of the people, to the different people who are living in those areas. The legal aspect is also very important, that what are the regulatory bodies and how they are going to be affected. So we need to see that what kind of infrastructure will be required in the years to come, because it is a long term, sustainable, and a kind of a fruitful activity. So this cannot, and it has to be thought at least considering the 10 years from now or 20 years from now. So this will be totally a failure and a futile exercise if we do not take into consideration the institutional, the authorities, the development authorities in that area, the rules, regulations, regulatory bodies, that is the legislative, and the infrastructure which may be required in the years to come. If it is going to be a highly populated area in the times to come, how we are going to see that infrastructure, how we are going to provide all the infrastructure needed by the people. If it is a coastal area, if it is a floodplain area, but they're depending upon the different landforms which we have in our country. So depending on that, a proper approach, an integrated approach is very much essential. But there are constraints why we are not able to, uh, do it, and why we are not able to, because we have not considered land something of this kind, and there is a lack of technology. We don't know how to assess the potential of the land. We don't know how to see that how it will fare in the years to come. And there is always a dearth of information, because already the information is not there. It is not collected, it is not compiled, it is not taken care of. So without proper information, data, statistics, without having an idea about the population, the livelihood of the people, even the demographics of the population is very essential, that what is the age structure of the people, whether the elderly population is more, whether the young population is more. But this is a part that you need to have a complete information uh, for the integrated land management. There is a weakness in the institutional infrastructure. Land use practices are mostly unsustainable, as we all know. The way we practice agriculture and the way we manage our land resources is at stake. And there are conflicts between land use goals. No, I just said that it's a scarce resource and there are competitions, and it also falls under different ministries. It comes under the Ministry of Energy if it is an energy plant. It comes under the Ministry of Water if water resources and rivers and everything is involved. With this, there are different, there are, you can say, constraints in the form of lack of dialogue, lack of communication between the different institutions which are governing these land uses and land rules, you can say, land use planning. Because um, if you see the land use classification in our country, we have a major chunk of the forest land, but then we have also the agriculture and non-agricultural land. So uh, the non-agricultural land is often, not so much properly classified as to whether it comes under the residential area, residential land, or it comes under other purposes. So land use goals are always conflicting with each other, and this becomes one of the major constraints. And lack of communication between the different institutions, between stakeholders, that also plays a kind of a hindrance towards the achievement of the objectives of integrated land management. So sustainable land management, just now we discussed that it is uh, land resources, including soil, water, plants. This whole is a part of the sustainable land management. And it is like, not just the managing soil, because land is soil and soil is land is fine, but land is also biodiversity, the people, the live on the land, the occupation, the industries, the water beneath it, as I said, the minerals. So it comprises all more, and these are the different objectives of sustainable land management. Because to go for integrated land management, also it is essential that we have a proper idea about how do we sustainably manage the land. So as we sustainably manage the other resources, having cost effective means and methods, proper documentation, proper classification, it is required. Because according to land use surveys, there are 9 categories of the land which have been, identified depending upon the use of the land: agriculture, forest, type 4, type 3. So different types of the lands have been identified: minerals, grasslands, and accordingly we have classified the land. So we need to have a proper database, proper web based information, which is totally lacking as of now. But in the times to come, definitely we will be making ourselves, more proactive towards managing the land and going for sustainable land management. So, it advises the government stakeholders, and also cooperating with the international and national bodies. A lot of NGOs are working for the land resource and land management. We must know that sustainable development goals, as I said, it is linked to other SDGs. SDG 15 is particularly life on land, the biodiversity of the land. But SDGs, if you consider land as a resource, it is linked with several other SDGs. For example, it is linked to human health and well being, of course, because land sustains the life of the people. It is linked to energy, it is linked to clean water, sanitation, it is linked to inclusive education, because the land not managed sustainability leads to children dropping out from the school. They have to, even gender equality, I must say, that it is related to the land resources, because with the males migrating, most of the burden of agriculture comes on the shoulders of the women. So the quality of the land, the you can say the vagaries of temperature and the hardships that the women are facing are also in a way related to the land which is degraded and which is creating more problems for them. So these are just summing a few SDGs which are related to the land. No poverty, of course, we know. Inclusive education, I just talked about this, that how the poor quality of the land and improperly managed land in the long run will have an effect on the opportunities for education for the children in those areas. Gender equality, because women suffer the most of any type of environmental degradation taking place. So same is the case when the land is degraded, the females, the women are affected more. Of course, recent work and economic growth is related. Hunger, good health and well-being, responsible production and consumption, because we need to do more with less. So we have a limited supply and limited access to land, but we have to have make full use of the land so that we are able to manage its sustainability. Of course, water efficiency, clean fuel, because nowadays for biomass also large areas of lands have been demarcated for construction of wind farms, windmills. We have seen for biomass based energy sources, the land is being devoted for that also. In view of this, for the provisioning of clean energy sources, clean fuel, affordable energy, the quality and the management of the land from a sustainable perspective is very much essential. So we need to have awareness, education, training, sharing of information. Lot of research and development needs to be done in this area. What could be done, how much has been done, and what more needs to be done in the areas of land resources is crucial. So more and more studies should come up in this area. And also because according to EIA, it is essential to provide the data and to provide the information related to land resources, how much hectares of the land and how much of the quality and properties of the land. So proper reporting is very essential, and scientific reporting, I must say, that is very essential, and it should be a ongoing activity. The proper monitoring, without proper monitoring, we cannot assess our land resources properly. With the help of all these measures, we can achieve the goals of sustainable development and manage the land. And here I would like to mention about the Bond Challenge, which was made in 2015 in Paris to bring back the deforested and degraded land by 2030. 350 million hectares of the world's land, it has been um, targeted to bring back and restore it by 2030. And it was the Bond Challenge by 21 million hectares of degraded and deforested land by 2030. So it's a global effort, and we hope that we are able to meet this challenge. So I just conclude that land is a resource. We know the importance of the land, and but what we need to more know is that land is just not the soil or the physical feature of the Earth's crust, but it has biodiversity, water, minerals, and we human beings on it. So, supporting and caring of land is for the humanity also. If you're not able to manage the land resources, it paves a barrier for sustainable development. We need to integrate ecological, economic, and environmental management to meet the human needs, and integrated land management needs to bring in the different uses of the land at that particular area. So thank you so much. I end here, and now let us discuss. I should hear from you now.